Hey everybody, right before the holidays started, I started getting a lot of emails and some calls from Tigo customers about the EI inverter anti-islanding method. And if you're not on the CALSA newsletter list, you should probably get on there because they addressed this earlier this week. But it was really odd. And a buddy of mine called me. He's like, what's going on with this? And at first I'm like, well, what utility weenie needs to know what the anti-islanding method is? And at first I thought, well, it's probably LDWP because they like asking, stupid like that. But he is an installer here in NorCal, and it was PG&E, right? PG&E, the utility that has such a great reputation for burning half the state down, decided to improve their PR by adding this question covertly to the permitting paperwork at the end of the year when installers are trying to get the permits in before the new net metering 3.0 comes out that totally freaking guts the incentives and rebates. And so these people who are trying to make a living in a state that makes it real hard to make a living if you're a business owner, decided to add one more thing, right, to kind of squash that. And they sent back permitting paperwork because installers didn't check which box anti-islanding method the inverter used. And who would know that, right? I'll bet you a bottle of your favorite whiskey that not one installer knew what that was. I bet you. And matter of fact, there's probably only two people at the inverter manufacturing who even know that answer. Right? And it reminds me of these stupid questions that we got in the late 2000s, the early 2010s from the utilities that they want to know, okay, so this grid isolation relay in here, do you have any paperwork on it that says it is going to open when the grid goes down? Paperwork? Yeah, I got some paperwork. Come here, I'll show you. Right there, you see the UL sticker on the outside of that inverter chassis? That means everything on the inside has been UL listed and it's been tested and certified to UL 1741, which tests for all of that stuff. It's like, yeah, what else do you want, right? And it just drove me insane. And so now here we are 15 years later, going on 16 years later, where they're starting to ask more stupid stuff, right? And I called PG&E and I said, so do any of these anti-islanding methods disqualify the system? Oh, no. Okay, then why are they on there? Oh, well, it's just an engineering question. Engineering. So this is like if you went to the DMV and all of a sudden some DMV person said, oh yeah, we also need to know what the second stage gear ratio of your automatic transmission is. What difference does that make? It has nothing to do with anything. So this is one more thing that PG&E has been called out on, because they get called out on their bullshit a lot, right? The new NEM 3.0, we lost that battle, right? They completely destroyed the incentives and rebates that we get from now on, right? 2023. And I'm sure at the end of this year, they're going to try something else. We did defeat a measure that PG&E was going to charge the customers with solar on their roof $800 a year just because they had solar, right? So we defeated that, which I think was probably just kind of a distraction, right? Utilities, okay, well, we'll give them that one, but we really got the new NEM 3.0. That's what really matters, right? And what gets me is, and there's lots of discussions to have here, right? But what gets me is that California and all the progressiveness that it bleats to the rest of the nation is, I know I'm starting to sound like my grandfather. They want to tell it oh yeah, we're so progressive, we care about the environment. They make me now this year, or excuse me, last year they passed a law that said we have to take all of our table scraps, right? Potato peels, orange peels, my napkins with barbecue sauce all over it, paper towels, right? And we got to put them in a separate biodegradable bag, and then that bag goes into the green waste, which is now picked up every week instead of every other week, right? Like the people that actually do this are going to make a difference in the landfill with the food, right? But that's the extent that they want to go to show that, oh yeah, we really care about the environment. But make no mistake, right? California Public Utilities Commission, PG&E, SDG&E, LADWP, which if you, and I'm sorry if you have to deal with LADWP at all, right? So PG&E, LADWP, it's like, wow, which one is worse? It's like, well, do you want to get kicked in the head or in the groin? That's how I feel when I have to, like compare those two, right? But they do not care about this industry, and it's been painfully obvious, right? And I'm not talking about the people that work there, like the guy that drives around and checks your meter, or the people, that you call when you got to pay a bill or something. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people that make these decisions and the people that influence the decision makers into destroying our industry. That's who I'm pissed off about. And you should be too. And if you're like, oh, that's California, man, freaking tree huggers, man, whatever, they get what they deserve. That's the wrong take on this, yeah? Because whatever happens here in California, whether you like it or not, moves east, yeah? And this kind of bullshit that the utilities do in California gives other utilities a precedent, right? We're already seeing it in Texas, we're seeing it in New York, and all these other places where more antagonistic utilities are starting to pop up and make it harder for solar and storage to be installed in their states. Right? So we have to fight it. Believe me, the utilities, PUC, they are the evil empire. They're the empire. They're sitting up there in that Death Star, and they got that laser focused right on our industry, and they are not letting up. We are the rebellion. We're the ones in the little TIE fighters flying around trying to fight them. But they have way more money than we do, right? It's like when you go to your doctor and he prescribes a specific medication for whatever you have, whatever you need. He's probably prescribing that because some pharmaceutical rep gave him a free pen. He's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll prescribe, this medication, right? We don't have free pens to give around to the decision makers, right? But the people that influence the decision makers are throwing handfuls of free pens, okay? So we have to fight them, and it's only by the great work of CALSA here in California and people like Bernadette Del Charo and Carter Levin and all the people that showed up throughout the last couple of years and wore the t-shirts and had the signs begging Governor Newsom on Capitol Hill in Sacramento to not destroy this industry. And we know what side he's on now, right? Not that there was any, like we didn't know really, but now he's like overtly made it clear whose side he is on. And so we have to fight them, right? So show up at these rallies, right? Give some money. Instead of having, 4 pizza nights a year, just send that to CALSA, whoever your representation is in your state that fights for solar, because they are not going to let up. They're not. And they've made it perfectly clear. And again, California, oh, we want all electric vehicles sold and by 2035. It's like, yeah, okay, we're all going to go electric vehicles, but they're going to make damn sure you're using PG&E power to charge that vehicle and not your own power. Okay, that's the fight that we're up against. And it may not be a big deal to everybody. Like homeowners, I don't know, they may not care until they get slapped with $800 a year, right? But we just have to get this word out. We have to get it out, and we have to let these people know that we are going to fight them. So anyway, enough of the rant. Happy New Year anyway. And I hope everybody has a happy, prosperous, and safe 2023. See you next time.